All right, there is a lot going on in the world of Bellator MMA, including this week, not one, but two events in Honolulu, Hawaii, Bellator 278 on Friday night, Bellator 279 on Saturday night, 3 total title fights, 4 potential 5-rounders. Plus, we got the kickoff of the Bellator Bantamweight Grand Prix, all while coming off of a storyline-filled Bellator 277 event this past weekend. So let us welcome in Bellator President Scott Coker, who was kind enough to give us some time on a very busy fight week. Scott, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for doing this. It means a lot to get into this weekend, but I do want to start with some of the aftermath from last weekend in San Jose. Bellator 277 main event. Patricio Pitbull regains the featherweight title, exacts some revenge, hands AJ McKee his first career loss. It's been about 4 days since that fight went down as we record right now. What's the first thing you think about in regards to how that fight played out?
Boy, are you talking about the main event or the semi-main event?
The main event.
The main event. I mean, a lot of people felt that, maybe the decision should have went the other way. And some of my friends feel that the decision is correct. I think it's kind of split, down the middle. And, for me, I always tell these guys, look, well, I'm not a judge. I would never want to be a judge in the sport. I would never want to be a referee. These guys are professionals at what they do. The responsibilities weigh on their shoulders. You're talking about millions of dollars swaying one way back or forth could be decided by the quality of judges and referees you have. So we have a great team with Andy Foster here in California. And they're the ones that came in. They make the decision, and I'm glad that they're there to make the decision, because it's something I'm glad that I would never want to be, in those shoes.
I am curious though, because we all kind of have internal scorecards in our heads watching these fights. How did you score the fight personally?
I actually didn't score the fight like round by round, right? So it's really not a fair, let's say, comparison to what they're doing, because they're sitting down, they're scoring every round by round. I might have missed some action and, talking to this person, talking to that person. But, what I saw was, Pitbull was basically moving forward, trying to get the big shot in. I think I actually hit him a couple of times, threw a lot of nice leg kicks. I think that AJ was, taking him down, controlling the fight. And there's just a lot of great action. And I was really entertained by the action of the fight rather than scoring the fight.
You were obviously very high on AJ McKee following the win over Pitbull, and I'm sure you're still very high on him, but you had said that not only did you think he was the best featherweight in the world, you also had come out and said you thought he was the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world at different points. Where do you rank him in those conversations now, and where do you put Patricio Pitbull in that discussion after this past Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's obviously a good debate now, right, because of what happened, and I think that you can't put him there saying he's pound for pound the best and the greatest fighter right now, because he just got beat. So at some point, and I'm not saying when, because we have other people waiting in the pipeline. AJ has talked about moving up in weight and fighting at 55. So there's a lot of considerations. But, if those two wanted to run that back one more time, I would never say no.
A couple more things on that card, and then we'll move on to this weekend. But there has been a lot of talk about AJ's contract status, some lack of clarity. Like AJ had said a lot of things in the build to the fight, really talking about his goals of becoming a champion in other organizations someday, but also there's talks about champions clauses and some of that other stuff. Are you able to talk about what his status is with the promotion and where you see his career going in the next couple of years? I guess your confidence levels that he will be with you guys in Bellator, competing in the Bellator cage for years to come.
Yeah, what I would say to that is, I don't want to talk about his contract, in the public, because really it's something that I don't think is right. And I don't think legally I could do that anyway. But when I think about fighters, whether it was Strikeforce or whether it's here in Bellator, the fighters that we really wanted to keep, really wanted to keep, which we want to keep AJ, we've always made a deal. And I think our record, it goes, I would say 99-1 maybe. In those efforts where if an athlete's important to the company, can move the needle and makes a difference, then we're inclined to keep them. And that's what I would say. And I've said that all along. And so to me, it's like nothing new. This is something that we are in the business of, continue to work with our champions, sign free agents, build fighters from the ground up. But AJ, to me, is I still see him as that kid that was jumping on top of the cage when I met him at 17 years old. And it was something special. And now he's really developed. And when you think about how much he's accomplished in the last 4 or 5 years, it's pretty phenomenal. And I think I honestly feel that we'll be working together for years to come. So, we'll see what happens, but I feel very confident about our relationship moving forward.
And then we saw the unfortunate ending of the light heavyweight Grand Prix finale. Corey Anderson was looking pretty darn good against Vadim Nemkov, and it ends, and the way that it ended leads to a no contest. Any sort of time frame that you guys are looking to rebook that one to have some conclusion there?
As soon as Nemkov is ready, we will rebook it. Corey, I talked to him the next day. I actually just ran into him at a restaurant in San Jose, and he said, "Look, I want to fight this guy right away." And I feel like I was, a little bit, not done wrong, but in a sense, like, there's 3 seconds to go. They should let it go, and so there's just a lot of little things that happen in that fight that, Corey wants to fight him right again, and Nemkov wants to fight him again right away. He feels like, okay, now I know what I'm dealing with, and that's what he told me. He says, now I understand the power, the speed, and next time I'll beat him for sure. So you have two guys that are super confident. They're ready to go. As soon as Nemkov's eyes healed up, my prediction, if I had to make one, is probably September, October for that rematch. And the way I saw it, just to put a recap on it, is, as soon as the fight was over, I came into the ring or the cage and I said to Andy Foster, "Why would you guys stop the fight, 3 seconds ago? What happened?" And I was trying to, get him to engage in a conversation. And he's like, "Look, we're going to go to the video and we're going to see what happened." I think he just caught a lot of people off guard. But what happened was, it was Corey that brought the referee's attention that Nemkov had a cut from a headbutt. And so, or he had a cut and it was very deep and all the way to the bone is what they were telling me. And so they had to stop the fight. The referee didn't know how much time there was left. And so he didn't, stop the time on purpose. It's just that when Corey brought it to Frank Trigg's attention, that's how much time was left. So they had to stop it. They had to go to the scorecards. They had to, basically they couldn't go to scorecards because it wasn't a complete 3 rounds. I guess that's what the official ruling was. So with 3 seconds to go, if Corey would have just kept pounding and not been such a nice guy and say, "Hey, look, over here, this guy's cut," then he would have won the fight, because I thought he was up 2-1 in my opinion. So, it's just, unfortunate, but Corey's such a nice guy. He brought it to the referee's attention, and that's what happened. It was very bizarre, very weird, something I've never seen before. But we'll run it back here in the next 3-4 months.
Yeah, and I think Corey in the long run would probably want it a different way as well. Like if he even waiting the 3 seconds, I think a part of him would want to at least finish the fight and have some like finality to it. You know what I mean? That's just the Corey that I've known over the years. Yeah.
And you know what? The Corey that I had breakfast with the next morning or ran into breakfast with definitely wanted to have that fight. Like he wish he wouldn't have stopped the fight or brought it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this weekend, because we got Bellator 278 on Friday. We got Juliana Velasquez putting her flyweight title on the line against Liz Carmouche. Big opportunity for Liz. She has the chance to be able to call herself a world champion. She is a former military veteran, or a military vet, a former Marine, and this is a military style event. You're giving it for free for military and first responders. And she's taking on Velasquez, who's coming off a super close title defense against Denise Kielholz. Your thoughts on the fight that closes the show on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, the fight obviously has big implications on the line, because when I think about Friday and Saturday for the female division, especially the 125, you have Elima McFarland, who lost to Juliana Velasquez on her last fight. Probably about a year ago, 8 months ago. So she's going to be sitting in the wings, probably watching this fight very closely. And Liz was a former teammate who she trained with, that actually, I guess my understanding is that they left gyms or started, that Liz or somebody left the program so they could actually not train together anymore. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see, one, what happens in that title fight. And then two, how does Elima look, and does she handle her business so she can get back and get back in the mix? So to me, as far as our 125-pound division for females, this is like a pinnacle. This is going to be a big weekend of fights that really lay out the chapter for the next series of fights.
Also on that card, we get a couple of play-in fights for the Bantamweight Grand Prix. And one fight that really stands out to me that I was very excited to see when it was booked was Danny Sabatello and Jornal Lugo, because these are a couple of guys who could certainly be considered dark horses in this entire tournament. Is that how you view this one as well? That one of these guys could be a very sneaky contender in this Grand Prix should they come out of it on Friday night.
Yeah, and you know what? We call them the wild card fights, right? And so they kind of have to earn their way in to get the fight. And the thing about wild card teams is you never know. You never know, man. In MMA, you don't know, because one wrong move and you're laying on your back going, what happened? Or one wrong move and you're getting submitted. So you're talking about guys that are let's say young and hungry and have the skill, and are they going to be able to take it to the next level against the guys they're fighting this weekend? And when you think about the fights on Saturday, and you have Horiguchi and you have Mixed, you have Archuleta, you have Stotts. I mean, you got just 4 killers in there. And so can these guys actually win and then eventually go fight, in the next against Magomedov in the fights that we're going to hold in June? So the wild card fighters will continue on June 24th if they win, and fight the other 2 veterans that we have in the blocks. And if they win there, then if they win Friday night, they're in the tournament. And so the first round for them of being officially in the tournament will be June 24th on Showtime, and we'll be at the Mohegan Sun.
Oh, nice. And then let's head to Saturday. Cris Cyborg headlining Bellator 279, defending her title against Arlene Blencowe. It's a rematch. I will ask, I know you're not big on talking about contracts in the public, but one of the big stories in 2022 thus far, and she's actually mentioned this herself, is it's been the future of Cris Cyborg as a Bellator competitor. She revealed a little over a month ago doing some media that she has 1, maybe 2 fights left on her deal. I'm just curious if that's accurate to your knowledge as well.
I mean, I know that we have, a certain time frame that we have to fight Cris, and I think this is one of the fights that we're having her compete in. But as far as when the exact contract end dates, I think it's sometime in the summertime. But we will negotiate with her, and we will try to make another deal with her. Again, she's important to the company. We love her. I've been promoting her since 2009 is what I think the date was, or maybe 2008, because she fought Carano in 2009 at San Jose Arena, actually. So I think August of 2009 is when she fought the big Gina Carano fight, the first female main event in the history of MMA on television. So, to me, we've had a great relationship, and, business is business, but I think we provided a great home here for her at Bellator. And I think Showtime really, really likes watching her fight or having her fight on Showtime. And I think that, when you think about the friendship and the relationship we had, I think it's pretty smooth. So let's see if we can put something together.
Last things, I know we're running out of time, but of course, Cris has this big fight ahead of her. But as you may have seen, the brass at the PFL, they've been very vocal saying that they want to co-promote an event with you guys to give the fans the fight that they're seeking. Cris Cyborg versus Kayla Harrison. Is this being discussed at all amongst the Bellator brass? Is this something you may be interested in if the timing works out sometime this year?
I'll tell you, I'm not sure, because just to be honest, look, I haven't heard from them at all. I mean, nothing. And I know they know my number. And so I don't understand. I think they're doing a lot of social, chattering and trying to, create a story. But to me, Cris is the greatest female fighter of all time, and she fights for Bellator. Kayla Harrison is a great, great fighter. She's proven that. And she could be one of the greats of all time in the future as well. But she has to grow and to fight somebody and to keep growing. And she's going to have to put years into it. So to me, it's like, look, you know what? We'll see. But I'm confused by what they say and what they want to do, because I haven't heard from anybody. And, these social attacks are, their way of doing business. I just don't do business like that. So, I pick up a phone, give me a call, and that's how we do business.
So if they do call, that's something you would possibly entertain.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to work out. I mean, like we've been talking to Ali about sending some fighters to, Habib's league, and we do the, Saki Bar and I will sit down and start talking about December this year for the end of the year. We're not opposed to it, but it has to make sense for both sides. And there's a lot of questions, because not only is who pays for what, who owns what, and how do the rights work after. And there's a lot of details of, of these types of co-promotions. And, I'm not sure if we could put a deal together. But if we can, it's something that it's worth at least a conversation. But like I said, again, doing business on social, just trying to take shots at us. I mean, that's kids play, and this is a real business. We're a real company, and we're in the business of putting fights together. So, pick up a phone, give me a call if you want to do something. That's how I feel.
I love the Grand Prix fights. I love Archuleta versus Stotts. I feel like Archuleta is being extremely overlooked here. The betting odds are extremely in Stotts' favor, which is kind of surprising to me. It's like people have forgot about how good Juan Archuleta is. So that fight is super fascinating. Horiguchi mix is a super fascinating fight, especially over 5 rounds. But I do want to mention ElimaLei McFarland, because you mentioned her earlier and where she fits in this flyweight title picture. She's fighting Justine Quiche. Sometimes absence sort of makes the heart grow fonder. She hasn't fought since that fight against Juliana Velasquez. December of 2020 was the last time she competed. And I felt like her losing to Juliana may have come at the right time for her. You know what I mean? Like, take a break, refocus, and kind of find the love for the game. It's kind of like she was a little bit burnt out, not by just being in Bellator, but just the sport kind of burnt her out a little bit and everything that comes along with it. How would you describe her mentality this week heading into Saturday and getting the chance to fight at home and have a moment in her return fight once again?
I mean, she's excited, and how could you not be? This is like, this is a home game for her, right? She gets to have a home game, and everybody has to come to her, and she's going to be the star of the night. And I really feel like this is going to be, well, win, lose, draw, whatever, she's still going to be, the crown princess of the ball. So, when I think back at the loss to Juliana Velasquez, I mean, that's a tough fight, and this girl's a tough fighter. So, she had her hands full, but, there's some injuries, things to tie up, and, some, things to, let's say, digest. And then, now this is the comeback. This is the comeback opportunity. And I know she's put the work in. You can see it just by the transformation of her physique. She's in great shape. She's ready to go. And I think she's going to put on a great show on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to both these events. Scott, thank you so much. I know you're a very busy man. I appreciate the time. Hopefully we can do it again soon, but all the best this weekend, and enjoy Hawaii, sir. Not a bad place to be on a fight week.
I will try.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.